Hey guys, this is WW41 with another research video for my English 102 class, but this time it's focusing on academic research. Academic research is the type of research that utilizes scholarly sources. Now, scholarly sources are simply articles that have been written for and published by a journal after being extensively peer-reviewed. They're known for being written by people with high credentials and often cite many different sources. For my paper, I had to cite at least 5 scholarly articles. The focus of my research was on superstitions, as there's such a fascinating amount of them, yet they are all so unique. Now, seeing as I like psychology, I decided to focus on the psychological aspects of the superstitions. As such, I hope to discover why superstitions are created, what types of effects believing in them has on a person, and how they have persisted in the modern world. From my research, I discovered that there are 3 different ways that superstitions are created. The first way they are created is by the extraction of a particular trait from sacred texts. An example of this would be the fear of 13, which was actually derived from the Last Supper within the Bible. The second way that superstitions are created is by belief in magic. An example of this would be the evil eye, which is essentially a trait that someone could possess that allows them to practice witchcraft. The third reason superstitions are created is by a false conception of causation. Now, an example of this would be Ron White. He's a famous baseball player who's known for shaving his arms before every game because he believed that would increase his batting average. Now, all of these are connected because they believe something greater at work than what truly is. Believing in superstition can have both positive and negative effects on the believer. The primary positive effect of superstition is performance enhancement for an athlete. A very famous baseball player by the name of Wade Boggs, for instance, is known for having a very strict guideline as to when he would begin practice and what he would eat before a game. He claims that this routine that he established is the reason for his success, as he is now a Baseball Hall of Famer. While science has proven that this is not entirely true, it has also proved that by having faith in his routine, he has also gained a subsequent confidence boost that have allowed him to achieve way more than he would have without it. There are also negative effects from believing in superstitions. Some of them affect the whole society, like the fear of the number 13, which during the 19th century was so widespread that dinner parties often had to dissipate for fear that having a party with 13 people would lead to one of them dying, such as it did within the Last Supper. Now, this was later disproven by the 13 Club, which was formed solely to discredit 13, but you can still see 13 being a problem within today's society, as buildings won't even have the 13th floor, planes won't have a 13th row, and so on. Now, there's also personal issues with having really deep-rooted superstitious beliefs. Kiki Collier, for example, was a very famous baseball player who could have performed very greatly within the World Series had he actually played. But since he would not move from his position as the 3rd batting slot to the 2nd slot like his coach wanted him to, his coach benched him because he was really aggravated that Kiki wouldn't do what he wanted. Granted the positive effects of stress control, there are 2 areas that superstitions persist to exist within the modern world. The first area is the business world, which utilizes superstition to make difficult decisions that would have otherwise been impossible, granted the large amount of pros and cons to account for when making a decision. As superstitions allow business people to trust a higher power with their decisions, they no longer feel accountable for the decision, and they lose much of the stress that was with the decision because they are no longer accountable for it. Second area is the sports world. Primarily used in college, sports superstitions often assist players by providing them with stress relief from these different stressors. College sports are often also very stressful because the players are attempting to balance school with sports. In summation, while believing in superstition does provide positive effects, it should also be noted that willingly blinding oneself to the truth can often cause great repercussions. As Stevie Wonder said, when you believe in something that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition ain't the way.